All right, let's dive in. We're back in the wizarding world today. Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban this time. And wow, you guys gave us a ton to work with on this one. Notes, summaries, the whole shebang. You're serious about Prisoner of Azkaban,
Well, there's a lot to unpack, right? I mean, this book, it's kind of a turning point in the series. It gets darker. Everything feels a little more, intense.
Oh, for sure. Right from the start, you can feel it. Harry's 13th birthday at the Dursleys. It's not exactly a happy one. Remember Aunt Marge?
Oh, yeah. Blown up like a balloon. That's got to leave a mark.
Talk about a rough start to summer vacation. And it really sets the tone, you know? Harry feels so alone. He's just desperate to get back to Hogwarts, back to the magic.
Absolutely. That whole incident with Aunt Marge, it's not just for laughs. It shows how much Harry craves a place where he belongs. So going back to Hogwarts, it means even more this time. But then, even Hogwarts. It doesn't feel as safe this year, this whole Sirius Black thing hanging over everyone's heads.
Right. This escaped convict everyone's terrified of. He betrayed Harry's parents, everyone thinks, the one who led Voldemort to them. And now he's out there, and everyone thinks he's after Harry.
The whole wizarding world is on edge. And then you've got the Dementors patrolling the school grounds, Azkaban's finest. They're creepy, man. They just suck the happiness right out of you.
Not your typical school year, that's for sure.
No kidding.
Yeah.
But here's the thing about Sirius Black. That image we have of him, the evil betrayer, it's not the whole story.
Wait, what are you saying?
The reveal about Sirius Black, it changes everything. He wasn't this Voldemort loyalist who betrayed the Potters. He was actually James Potter's best friend. They were like brothers.
No way. So he was innocent this whole time.
Framed, actually. And he's been trying to protect Harry all along. That's why he escaped Azkaban, to find Harry and keep him safe.
Wow, that's a huge twist. I mean, it makes you question everything you thought you knew about the story.
It makes you think, doesn't it?
Yeah.
How many times do we get the wrong idea about someone or something just because we don't have all the facts? It's this whole theme of justice and misjudgment,
Absolutely. It's like you can't just assume things based on what other people say. You got to dig deeper, find the truth for yourself. It's a good lesson, even outside of the wizarding world.
No doubt. But hey, let's shift gears a bit. We got to talk about some of the cool magical stuff we see for the first time in Prisoner of Azkaban, like the Marauders map, for example. That thing is awesome.
Oh, yeah. The map that shows everyone in Hogwarts, even where they are and what they're doing. Amazing.
And it's not just the map itself, it's who made it. James Potter and his friends, back when they were students. It's like this secret window into Harry's parents' past.
That's so cool. It's like holding a piece of history in your hands. No wonder Fred and George were so obsessed with it. And speaking of cool magic, we also see the Patronus charm for the first time in this book.
Ah, yes. The Patronus charm. It's not just any spell, it's powerful magic. Conjuring a happy memory so strong, it can literally fight off those Dementors.
It's definitely not easy, but Harry manages to do it. And his Patronus, it takes the form of a stag, just like his father's.
It's a powerful connection, that's for sure. Shows the kind of magic that runs in the family. And then, of course, there's the time turner.
Time travel, now that's where things get really crazy.
Yeah, this is where Rowling throws in something wild. Hermione, she's always a step ahead, uses it to take more classes than any human possibly could. But it ends up being way more important than that. It plays a huge role in the climax of the story.
Time travel. In the wizarding world,
Yeah.
I have so many questions, but I think we're getting ahead of ourselves. Let's stick with what we've talked about so far. One thing that really stands out to me in this book is the power of friendship.
Definitely a major theme. Harry, Ron, and Hermione, they go through a lot together in this book. It's scary, it's emotional, and their friendship is put to the test.
Like in the Shrieking Shack, they're convinced there's a werewolf in there with them, and they're terrified. But they stick together, they have each other's backs no matter what.
That's what real friendship is, right? Being there for each other through thick and thin.
Exactly. And then there's Hermione, always thinking on her feet. Is her idea to use the time turner to try and save Sirius and Buckbeak. I mean, talk about a brave move.
It shows how much she cares about her friends.
Yeah.
And it highlights how important their friendship is.
Yeah.
They work together, they support each other, and in the end, they're stronger because of it.
It's a powerful message. And it's not just about friendship. Prisoner of Azkaban also delves into some pretty heavy themes like identity and coming to terms with the past. Harry learns a lot about his parents and their legacy in this book.
Absolutely. It's something we all go through, right?
Yeah.
Figuring out who we are, where we come from, how our past shapes us. Harry's journey, it's relatable. He's trying to understand his parents, their choices, their flaws. It's not always easy, but it's part of growing up.
Yeah, and it's not always pretty. Sometimes you learn things about your parents that you don't want to know, but it makes them more real, more human.
It's about recognizing that our parents were people too, with their own struggles and imperfections. And ultimately, I think understanding that helps Harry come to terms with their loss.
Okay, so we've got a wrongly accused prisoner, cool new magic, time travel, and a deep dive into friendship and family. Prisoner of Azkaban is definitely a turning point in the series. It gets dark, it gets real, and it leaves you thinking about all sorts of things.
Oh, we've only just scratched the surface. There's so much more to uncover, especially when it comes to that whole time travel thing. What really happened when Harry and Hermione went back in time? How did they manage to save Sirius and Buckbeak?
Well, I guess we'll have to wait for part 2 to find out. Buckle up, folks, because this ride's about to get even wilder. So last time we were talking about the time turner. It's a pretty crazy concept, right? You can actually go back in time. My head's still spinning.
It's one of those things that makes you really think, huh? And in Prisoner of Azkaban, it's not just theoretical, it's crucial to the whole story. We see Hermione using it all year, of course, zipping around, trying to fit in all their classes.
Yeah.
But when she pulls it out to try and save Sirius, that's when things get really intense.
Yeah, it's one thing to use it for extra herbology lessons, but to actually try and rewrite events, I mean, talk about pressure. So how does it actually work in the climax? Everyone thinks Sirius is guilty, right? And they're about to just perform the Dementor's kiss.
Right, the kiss. Basically, soul-sucking. You're left an empty shell. Worse than death, some say.
And it's about to happen to Sirius. And we know he's innocent.
Exactly. The stakes are high, time's running out. It seems like there's nothing anyone can do.
Especially with everyone convinced that Sirius betrayed Harry's parents. After Harry sees Pettigrew escape, he knows Sirius is innocent.
He's desperate to save Sirius. And that's when Hermione reveals the time turner.
Hold on, so she had this incredibly powerful magical object all along, and nobody knew.
Hermione, she keeps her cards close to her chest.
Yeah.
But it's a good thing she had it, right? Sirius would be done for without it. But even with the time turner, they can't just, barge in and change everything.
Wait, it's got to be rules, right? Time travel's not a joke.
It's tricky business. They can't be seen by their past selves, for one thing.
Oh.
And they have to be careful not to make any big changes. It's more about subtle influence, knowing what's going to happen and using that to their advantage.
So they're like time-traveling spies or something, trying to change things without being noticed?
You could say that. And it makes for some really clever moments. Like, remember the scene where Harry thinks Sirius is trying to break into Gryffindor Tower, throwing stones at his window?
Yeah, creepy.
Well, it turns out it was Harry himself throwing the stones. His past self, I mean.
What? So he was freaking himself out? That's amazing.
It's a classic Rowling move. You think it's one thing, and then bam, she turns it around on you. And that's just one example. There are a bunch of these moments where they nudge things just enough to make a difference. And in the end, they save Sirius and Buckbeak.
That's awesome, but it makes you think, doesn't it? About fate and all that. Like, if they could change things, does that mean everything's predetermined? Or do we have free will after all? I'm so confused.
It's a big question, isn't it? The time turner really makes you think about that stuff. Does it mean things were always meant to happen that way? Or did they create a whole new timeline? Nobody knows for sure.
Mind-blowing. But aside from all that, what does the whole time travel thing actually teach Harry and Hermione?
Well, on a practical level, it shows how important it is to pay attention. Notice things. Think things through. And of course, that messing with time can have serious consequences. But it also shows that while you can't change what's already happened, you can learn from it. Use that knowledge to make different choices.
It's like, even when things seem out of your control, you still have some power. You can choose how you react. You can learn from your mistakes.
Exactly. But even though they managed to change things, save Sirius and Buckbeak, it's not a perfect happy ending, is it?
No. Sirius is still a wanted man. He can't just go back to living a normal life. He has to hide.
And Harry still has to go back to the Dursleys for the summer. Not exactly a reward for saving your godfather. So, yeah, it's bittersweet. But still, how does this whole experience change Harry? How does he deal with knowing Sirius is out there but can't really be with him? Well, Prisoner of Azkaban, it's a real turning point for Harry. He's faced some serious challenges, learned some hard truths about the people he thought he knew. He's not a little kid anymore.
He understands the wizarding world better now. He knows how dangerous it can be, and he's seen that even the people you think are heroes can have flaws.
Right, and he's also learned about loyalty, about forgiveness, that even when people make mistakes, it doesn't mean they're all bad.
And he's got a godfather now, someone who cares about him, who knew his parents. That's got to mean something.
Definitely. It gives him a sense of belonging, a connection to his past, and it strengthens his resolve. He knows he's not alone. He's got people who are on his side. And that's going to be important going forward because things are only going to get tougher from here.
Yeah. Prisoner of Azkaban, it's a game changer. Time travel, a wrongful conviction, magical creatures, all these themes of justice and friendship and family. It's heavy stuff. No wonder people love this book so much.
It's a story that sticks with you, makes you think about the world in a different way, and it's just the beginning.
We've only just scratched the surface. There's so much more to talk about. The impact this book had, the way it sets up everything that comes after.
Right. Prisoner of Azkaban, it's a turning point. It's
Wow.
where things start to get really real.
We've been through a lot with Prisoner of Azkaban, haven't we? I mean, Sirius Black, time travel, Dementors. It's a wild ride.
Definitely keeps you on the edge of your seat.
Yeah.
But for me, what makes this book so special, what makes it stick with you, are the deeper themes, the stuff that makes you think.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Like the whole thing with Sirius Black. Wrongly accused, imprisoned for years. It really makes you think about justice, doesn't it? About second chances.
Absolutely. Is the system always fair? Do people deserve a chance to redeem themselves, even if they messed up in the past? Big questions, man.
Yeah, it makes you wonder. And then there's Lupin, the werewolf. He becomes a kind of mentor to Harry, right? But he's also dealing with this whole, being a werewolf thing.
Lupin's a great character. He challenges those prejudices.
Yeah.
Shows us that what makes you different can also make you strong.
He's a good role model for Harry. Teaches him about facing his fears, being himself.
Definitely. And I think a lot of readers, especially younger ones, connect with that. Lupin shows them that it's okay to be different. You don't have to fit in to be awesome.
Speaking of fears, those Dementors, they're terrifying. But they're also more than just scary monsters, right? They represent something deeper.
Oh, yeah. They're like the embodiment of despair,
Yeah.
hopelessness. They feed on happiness, leave you empty.
It's like depression, almost. That feeling of just being sucked dry. And Harry, he has to learn how to fight them, to find that light within himself.
The Patronus charm, right?
Yeah.
Conjuring a happy memory to drive them away.
Mm-hmm.
It's not easy, but it's a powerful metaphor. Finding that strength within yourself to fight the darkness.
It's a message we all need to hear sometimes. That even when things are tough, there's always hope. And sometimes you need help finding that hope. That's where friends come in.
Right. Harry, Ron, Hermione. Their friendship is put through the ringer in this book.
They go through so much together, and they always have each other's backs. Like in the Shrieking Shack, they think there's a werewolf in there. They're terrified, but they stick together.
That's true friendship, right?
Yeah.
Being there for each other no matter what.
Exactly. And it's Hermione, always the brains of the operation, who figures out how to use the time turner to save Sirius and Buckbeak.
Talk about a clutch play. She's not afraid to think outside the box, to break the rules when it matters.
And it shows how much she cares about her friends. They're a real team. They support each other, they challenge each other, and they make each other better. It's a good reminder that we all need people like that in our lives.
Couldn't agree more. And Prisoner of Azkaban, it doesn't shy away from the tough stuff either, like dealing with the past, coming to terms with your family history.
Yeah, Harry learns a lot about his parents in this book, and it's not all good.
It's hard, realizing that your parents weren't perfect, that they made mistakes. But it's also part of growing up.
It's about understanding that everyone's human, even the people we look up to. And I think for Harry, learning about his parents' past, it helps him understand them better, and maybe even himself.
Makes them more real somehow, more relatable. And ultimately, I think it helped him accept their loss. Move on.
Yeah, it's a powerful part of the story. And then, you got to give Rowling credit. She's such a talented writer.
Oh, absolutely. The way she mixes humor and darkness, suspense and heart. It's amazing.
She creates this world that feels both magical and real. And the characters, they feel like real people, even when they're doing crazy things like traveling through time.
Prisoner of Azkaban. It's more than just a fun adventure story. It makes you think, makes you question things, and it stays with you.
So as we wrap up our deep dive, what are the big takeaways? What should we remember about Prisoner of Azkaban?
Well, I think it's a reminder to question what we're told, to not just accept things at face value, to look for the truth.
And the importance of friendship, of forgiveness, of finding that strength within yourself to overcome challenges. And hey, maybe even travel through time once in a while.
Hey, if you have a time turner, why not? But seriously, it's about the human connections, the bonds we form with each other. That's what makes life worth living, even in a world without magic.
Beautifully said. Well, thanks for joining us on this journey through Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban. It's been a blast. And until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep the magic alive.